We bought the farm in 2003, and then there was quite a major storm event in February 2004, and we took over in March of that year. So there was a lot of landslip, and the streams on the property flooded, erosion damage, tracks and fences were pretty messy.
How did that make you feel?
We were young and enthusiastic in those days, so we were given the option to back out, but we said, no, this is what we're going to get our teeth into, and that's what we did. We contacted a friend of ours who worked for Ag Research and said, we've come from farming flat country in the Rangitikei up to these hills that are now on the move. Can you give us some advice? And he said, actually, we're working with Horizons Regional Council to formulate a sustainable land use initiative plan, and we're looking for a guinea pig. Would you like to be our trial farm? We had a number of people come up here and drafted up the first whole farm plan for the Regional Council.
They mapped the soils, so they gave us a plan which had the strengths and the weaknesses of the various types of soils and gave us the options of what we could do and what potentially we could do to increase our profits.
2004 floods was a pretty significant event in our region. We had a big community meeting down here in the Regional Council. Part of the idea was what could we do differently and how could we change things, and one of the things was to produce a SLUI program. We'd look at the resources on the property by mapping them out at farm and paddock level, and then we develop a works program with the farmer, mainly to combat sediment and erosion. Farmers do understand what's going on their own farms, but having a farm plan that gives you the basic understanding of your resources and what you're doing and what sort of impacts you're having, you'll be able to measure for nutrient loss, sediment loss, greenhouse gas emissions, all those sorts of things. I think any farmer needs some way in the future of recording that.
One of the first things we did was to retire a reasonably steep hill paddock that was on the top side of a road, and during the storm there was 7 places where that closed the road. So we planted that in Douglas fir trees, just completely retired it out of the farming system.
People tend to think certainly the ETS or retiring land or doing something like that, I think it's a huge issue, but if you break it down into little chunks, it's not always that bad. We have 19 hectares in the emissions trading scheme, 6 is production forestry, about 7 is in poplar trees, and the balance is made up of regenerating forest. We have a map of the farm, and in it we've marked exclusion zones. We took out areas that were either too steep and grew very little grass, took out trees where the poplars were, some swampy areas. Just by using that little bit of technology, saved us dollars in one way, but it also saved us on emissions. Pilot said it's really, really good because you plug all the information in. He said all I have to do is fly the plane. And it opens and closes the hopper automatically.
So it's got the GPS. Oh, wow.
Follow the line and...
It's just like driving a tractor.
Yeah. We've also done a lot of work with genetics, particularly with sheep. So we've now get as much lambs out of 900 ewes as we used to get out of 1,500, simply by increasing reproductivity. Little things like that means we can drop our base winter numbers but still get the same returns.
1, 2, there's actually 3 there.
The dries will go off to the works. We don't keep anything on the farm that isn't going to produce progeny, like this one.
Sheep will have no idea of the consequences of all this process.
No, they won't. Blissfully unaware. So come lambing, we will separate out the singles. They'll get a little bit less feed and probably go in the rougher hill than the twins will get more feed, and then the triplets will get the nice flat land where we can actually keep an eye on them.
It also gives us an idea what our lamb supply is going to be like for the coming season. These genetics. We try to look at the long-term issues. In a few years' time, if you get the opportunity to buy rams that have low methane emissions, then that's the way to go. Come on, girls. Up, up, hoo, hoo. Farming's a big gamble. You gamble with the weather, you gamble with the markets, you gamble with the value of the New Zealand dollar. I think farmers need to plan more, make use of the technology, because if you're going to get weather patterns, what we had in Cyclone Gabriel every few years, you need to plant some trees, maybe reduce your stocking rate a little bit, take pressure off the land, get a plan if you haven't got one.
And there's a lot of consultants out there, so the key would be to finding somebody who you trust and someone who knows your business. Yeah, working alongside them, don't let them do the work for you. You've got to know your own business as well.
Same thing with the whole farm planning. I wasn't there all the time, but when the guy was digging the holes, he was showing me the difference between various soil types, and you know, I could quite easily just let him go out and do what he had to do, but now I've got a bit more of an understanding of the soils. And
Helps you become a better farmer, like, isn't it? It's kind of, what's wrong with that?